Howdy folks, and welcome back to the Weird in High School Video Podcast. I am your host, Bretton Lee John. On this episode, I'm excited to get to chat with my collaborator, Tanner James. Tanner and I chat about creating a lifestyle in a multimedia space, about various sources of artistic production and inspiration, and about the specific influence of Southern Alberta on his unique creative voice.
Car was packed and we were ready to go. You can never go back to being 20 years old. Every town's got a Saturday night, but the right one, baby, could change your life. If I knew what I know now, I wouldn't change a thing. I'll be right there on the boardwalk, on the beach. He was a holy roller with no teeth, preaching a sermon on the beach. Listening intently, drinks in our hands. It made of a preacher seem like a charlatan. His words flowed like wine, like the passing of the time, as I became the old man in the scene, yeah. Young man in the sea, a distant memory. I was a young man, impressionable. He was a hobo, king of them beats. Shared some stories, some drink and some song. I often wondered where he'd gone. Remembered his name through the passing of the days, and the feeling of being a young man on the street, yeah. Young man in the sea, oh, a distant memory. Old man in the sea, clutching his IPA, dream about yesterday, how things could be. So it goes, tweet by tweet. Shoo-ba-ba-ba, 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 ba-ba-ba-ba, ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Shoo-ba-ba-ba, shoo-ba-ba-ba, ba-ba-ba-ba, ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba.
All right, well, welcome to the Weird in High School Video Podcast. Today I'm joined by Tanner. How's it going, Tanner?
It's going very well. Beautiful day here in Lethbridge, Alberta.
I'm just marveling at this beautiful pink playset. What can you tell me about this pink playset?
I can tell you that it was a Kijiji find. It was free if you come and disassemble and take it away. So we disassembled it as little as we possibly could to haul it, and asked my 3-year-old what color she wanted, and she wanted it pink. And we, as to quote the Shotgun Jimmy EP, paint it pink.
Do you ever have moments where you wish that she was more alternative, that her favorite color was like yellow just to be subversive or something like that?
No, because it turned out much better than I thought it would. I thought it would be an eyesore, but I kind of like it. So
it does. It gives a nice focal point to this yard.
Yeah.
We're here in an undisclosed part of Tanner's backyard. How does I was thinking about as I admired the decor in your studio and noticed your list of summer 25 goals and how there's a Tabor Cornfest stall and the Tabor Fun Run on there. How does how do you feel like your proximity to your native home of Tabor has impacted you creatively? You use a lot of Tabor derived inspiration in your public works.
yeah, I think that I'm more zen about being from Tabor. I've had a lot of support from there, and it's been a great location to film for free because ain't no permits needed in Tabor. It's kind of like, if you build it, they will come. That's been my experience, and as I get older and now that I'm living closer to Tabor, it's been we've had we took our strange relationship and made it more cohesive, and it's I'm more of a champion in trying to be more involved in the community. I'm also getting older, so I want to I think I'm at the point in my life where I should be a little more community minded and involved and find ways to give back and be active. So that's my maybe that's my personal philosophy. Maybe it's a changed relationship with my hometown, but I'm enjoying being a lot more even though I'm in Lethbridge and I'm still trying to be a part of Lethbridge. Yeah, Tabor's the home, and it's shaped who I am as an artist, whether I like it or not. And ultimately I got to the point where I'm like, am I happy with the art I'm making and who I am as an artist? And I'm like, yes. And so I'm like, well, that's like, you're a product of your environment, and that's who I am. So Tabor, you can take the boy out of Tabor, but you can't take the Tabor out of the boy.
Okay. Getting into that relationship with the Lethbridge artistic scene. Lethbridge is a city that has a very disproportionate amount of cool people and cool things for its size, especially in Alberta. How do you feel like what do you feel like are the factors that contribute to the disproportionate amount of cool stuff in Lethbridge?
I don't have any background in the the economics or the politics or of what make a city a cesspool for the arts. But I think that the two things I see reoccurring is cost of living and opportunity. So I think that Lethbridge has some opportunity, but it definitely historically has had a cheaper cost of living than many other places. So I think that there's people here that can't have the luxury to pursue a hobby, and there's people that have the luxury to pursue a career in the arts where that threshold wouldn't be met in maybe Toronto or Vancouver or even Calgary. So I think that there's a lot of people like that. I meet a lot of people in Lethbridge that have a job and then have a hobby or a passion that they do at a high level. So I'll meet, the other day I was talking to a prison guard, and has done more hiking than anyone I've ever met in my life. And he was telling me about his hikes, and it would be almost at like, a National Geographic kind of photographer level, like how much he's seen the world and what he's seen. And I meet a lot of people like that, a dentist that's also like a marathon runner at a high level. So I think that because you're not commuting really, and because your cost of living is historically low, up until COVID has changed a bit, but I think that's like afforded people the luxury to pursue their interests without having to get that sucked up by extra work or extra commutes in their lives. It's my theory anyways. I don't know if that holds water.
I think there is something to the, like, I feel like really getting all the way across town takes like maximum 15 minutes, and there's something to that. The traffic's never particularly bad, so even like the things that would keep you from going to something like the Wide Skies Festival on a weeknight in a bigger city don't here. Like it's pretty viable, pretty easy to, you know, if that ends at 10, to be home by 10:15, like get the kids to bed. So it's easy to want to participate in things here in a way that it wouldn't be in Calgary or Edmonton necessarily if you live out in the hellburbs. And
yeah, when I lived in Calgary, I tried to live a vaguely European existence where I stayed in a quadrant, and I tried to walk everywhere, and I tried to, you know, be involved in that. And it just didn't work. It's not how the city works. You know, you have a friend in the Northwest, you have a friend in the Southeast, and it's like you might as well pack a bag to go to see them, because it's like it's such a commitment, and it's just not possible. But here it's a little bit easier to pull that off, where I'm inner city. I don't really ever have to go to the west side for anything. I don't really have to go to the industrial part of town for anything, so I can kind of like stay in my small cultural bubble in Lethbridge, and it works out to a certain degree.
there's even like, it looks like there's like 10 hip coffee shops within walking distance, like within a couple kilometers here, which is something you don't really, I don't know. I end up watching like urbanist YouTube a lot, and that was a lens cap. What doesn't tend to be included in those considerations of like urbanism and walkability, I feel like, are smaller towns in North America, because a lot of like, not that Lethbridge is a small town, it's a whole city, but you definitely can figure out in, you know, a mature neighborhood in most of these, like, yeah, mature neighborhood in a place that didn't grow so rapidly and get paved over so quickly is usually really does allow you to live that kind of lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, how do you feel like your surroundings impact your inspiration and the kind of things you want to make? Like, at the point that I met you, you were Tanner James, I think you called it bubblegum pop songwriter. Is that the term you used? Am I misquoting you?
I've definitely used that term before, and I've definitely had bubblegum pop songs, and I have a affinity for bubblegum pop for sure.
And now I think of you way more as Tanner, the multimedia eccentric. Like, how has life recently changed the things you want to make?
Yeah, I think I've become a much more varied artist. I think filmmaking is a huge component. Writing was back then as well, and then music. But I think it was due to COVID kind of forcing my hand on that, where it was like, if it wasn't for COVID, I think I would have been perpetually on the road as a musician, and I would have been spinning my wheels, because I was stuck in a cycle of artistic purgatory where it's going well enough that you want to keep it going, but it's not, you're not seeing major growth or major change, but you can get away with this still. And that's kind of the cycle I was stuck in for a little bit. And then COVID, as you know, just for many artists, just took that away from us. And for me, it made me go back to the drawing board. And that's something that I really, really needed to do, but wouldn't put myself voluntarily in that position. So it gave me the luxury to, you know, experiment with film, and then up my technical skills, which opened up different doors and opportunities. And you know, originally the goal was I always wanted to go to film school. Just growing up in Tabor, it was like wasn't an option because it was too foreign and too weird for people to understand from there. And playing in a band didn't take that commitment. Like, you didn't have to go to music school to be in a band, and film felt daunting. Whereas like being in a band, I could see a punk band come through and I could see the steps needed to like make that happen. And it wasn't that scary or daunting, and it was like manageable. So that's how music started. And I don't really care about the medium. I realized I'm like, I could be sculpting all day, or I can be coloring with my daughter, and it's like I have trouble being pulled away from it. Like, she's like, Daddy, let's go do something else, and I'm like, I gotta finish coloring. So I don't actually care about the medium. Every medium has its pros and cons. It's really nice to be able to juggle between them, because you kind of get the best of both worlds. Like, I love the solitude of writing, but there's a point in time where it becomes lonely. I love the instant feedback of music. Like, the wonderful thing about music is it's so social, and you bring a song in front of an audience, and like, you know right away in your bones if it lands or if it needs work, or if you like said something or did something that just evoked a response. There's nothing like it. Film, I like the distinct stages of it. So I love that there's like a pre-production stage, and then you go to war is how I look at it. But the war is short production. So even if it's rough, an indie film might be like a 4 to 12-day shoot. So it's not that bad. And you kind of revel in that mess, and then you're alone for a long time until you start the promotional phase. So I love all the different phases of film, but being able to kind of cherry pick what serves me right now and where the opportunity is I would have been spreading myself too thin, and to a certain degree, I guess it is at times, but I'm going to do it as long as I can get away with it, because I'm having a lot of fun.
Yeah, I feel like you touched on a lot of things in there. I feel like one of the things about, like, let's say you did the move to Vancouver, move to Toronto kind of thing, that is like the obvious journey. Like, Wild Bill is a story that only you could tell. If there wasn't someone like you that grew up, was like the artistically minded kind of, maybe little bit outsider from that place, but also who didn't just completely abandon that place, who still like you still hang out around there and like participate and visit your folks, and enough to bump into Bill and come up with this plan. You talked about saying that if you were the architect of the universe, you'd make Bill famous. So you wrote the universe where Bill was famous. How do you feel like, I guess, what is the message you'd like audiences to receive about Wild Bill?
I love anti-heroes. I love absurd characters. I have like such a soft spot in my heart for the wonderful freaks. I use the term freak in a loving way, and it's been used in different contexts throughout history, but I use it as a term of endearment. And I'm a freak. I just don't look like one. That's what I always say. I look like a Mormon missionary, and that's afforded me certain luxuries in life, and to get away with certain behaviors. Whereas Wild Bill, like, he looks like an eccentric character, and he is an eccentric character. And the more I got to know Bill, we bonded over a mutual appreciation for the arts. And what I realized making that mockumentary film is that it was supposed to be equal parts making fun of Bill and equal parts championing and shining a light on a regionally specific place and time. And Bill's a great guy, and it comes out slowly, and so it turned into so much more of a tribute. But I love, like, two of my goals as an artist is I want to make regionally specific content. So I always say, like, I don't want to read books about New York or Paris.
Mm-hmm.
Don't want to watch movies about New York or Paris. I'll make the rare exception with like Wes Anderson or something like that. But outside that, it's like, it's a no-fly zone for me. And so I want to make my art about as much as I can about Southern Alberta and about the places I know and I'm familiar with, that I have a right to tell those stories. And I think I'm good at finding people like Bill, and I enjoy fraternizing and hanging out with those people, and I think I can showcase them in a way that's like they'll open up to me, but they don't feel exploited. But I'm also not like I think we're not making them out to be someone they're not, but we're showing a different side of them, and I think that's what we did with Wild Bill. We're like, Bill's awesome. Let's just show the world how awesome Bill is. And it was cool to see how other people outside of Taper responded to Bill. They loved him more. Like in Edmonton, Bill was like a demigod to hipsters.
Yeah. I feel too like Bill is like, you had told me about Bill before I met Bill, and I really wasn't sure what kind of character this guy would be. Like, just based on the description of him, I was like, is this guy going to be a guy that I feel like okay hanging out with? And he immediately is simultaneously just as kind of wild as he's described, but then he's also a guy that you totally would like leave your kids with for 20 minutes while you ran an errand. Like he's I feel like too, as much as people like to, I think people like to condescend smaller places and like to write them off, but he's really embraced by that community too. Like which you do capture in, like, when you're talking about like the people that didn't even understand really what the mockumentary was. Like, they didn't understand the line between reality and like augmented sensationalized reality. Like, some of those people, you can tell that they're just speaking earnestly about actual Bill, the actual guy they know, and it still works for the mockumentary.
Yeah, I found some universal truths while we made that. The one thing is, like, every single person I interact with told me the same thing in a different way. So some people had an elegant way of phrasing it, and they had an understanding, and they had a vague understanding of media theory. And there's people that like didn't know what a mockumentary was, and but they also they didn't know what a mockumentary was, and they didn't know that was they were blurring the lines of they didn't understand the blurred lines of fiction and nonfiction, but they also appreciated it in the same way. And they all told me in different ways, it's nice to see places I know and people I know reflected on screen. And that's what goes back to that, regionally specific art. So I'm like, hey, if I don't tell these stories, I know no one else is going to. Mm-hmm. I know that no one's going to make a film about Wild Bill, but I feel like he deserves a film, and like that part of the world deserves to be on screen. And it's just filling a void more than anything. So that's kind of the mission statement. That just reaffirmed my beliefs, and it was cool to hear it from all different walks of all different people. And then I also saw that film is really siloed into the festival circuit, where like I love film fests, but outside of film geeks, the general public doesn't go to films to film fests, and what I realized is like pop-up screenings and like DIY screenings are totally feasible, and they're totally possible, and they're really easy to do. They maybe never been easier to do than ever, and it's just emulating what bands have done since Black Flag. And then just leaning into that. And then I was like, oh, that's fun. And also the major flaw about a film festival that I don't understand is you're going to go there, you're going to get some resources to travel there and go there, or not. You're not going to make money making that venture. And then they screen your film, and you don't have a chance to interact that much. You don't have a chance to collect email addresses. You don't have a chance to really build that like fan base, where you do at a DIY screening, where it's like you shake hands with everybody in the room, and like you can collect email addresses, you can sell merchandise. It's like you're treating it like a band would, and it's way more sustainable, I think. And then we're going to test that theory on the next one and just double down on it. So we learned a lot from Wild Bill, a lot of things that I didn't expect to learn.
Have you read Andrew Wedderburn's book, The Crash Palace?
No, I haven't. I want to, though.
It's got some similar tones. I mean, it's fictional, but it's just the fact that it's set in the Calgary area, and I feel like you can kind of, like, you and I know a lot of the same characters that he does, and I feel like some of the characters in the book, you can almost place the exact person that he's referring to. There's this, and I don't know that this is exactly what the deal is, but it's what I've made up about it. There's that lore about the homeless cowboy that used to walk 17th Ave. Tom Phillips has a song about it, the Downtown Cowboy.
Oh yeah, I remember him personally.
And there's this character. It's like a lot of the dramatic movement of the story, but the skinny cowboy, this mysterious character, the skinny cowboy, and I can't help but wonder if that's influenced by the Downtown Cowboy. But it's like those stories. Like, yeah, everything is set in New York and LA and sometimes Chicago. And if it's Canadian, it's set in Toronto, which it's like, I remember growing up watching like Family Channel, and they'd be the Family Channel Party Van Canada tour, and it would be like basically Windsor to Quebec City. And it's like, yeah, that's the whole country is Windsor to Quebec City. And when you're growing up outside of that area, it's like, does where I live matter? Can I do anything interesting? I feel like not only are you making something you like that people of Tabor are enjoying, but maybe the next Tanner growing up in a town like that will be able to see that and go, I can make something. It's not hopeless for me.
Yeah,
I don't have to. Yeah.
Yeah, that's important. I think if you're not doing that as an artist, as you age, I think you're missing the point. Or that's how I feel anyways. I look back at like I read a book last year called Our Band Could Be Your Life. And there's a distinct section on Black Flag and the punk band, and how what the world remembers about Black Flag is that, you know, they created a new method for DIY touring for alternative and punk bands, or anyone outside the mainstream, that did not exist at that time. And they did it the hard way, and they collected phone numbers and notes, and who would put on a show and where they could put on a show, and how to like create these shows all across America. And then instead of monetize that, they gave it away, and that was the punk thing. And that's what like most people like. That's like built their legacy more so than their music. Like everyone knows that about Black Flag more so than their songs, and that's like what makes them punk. And that's sort of it's like, what are you passing on? And I didn't care about this when I was younger as much, but as I get a bit older, it's important to me. So I'm like, yeah, what's my like contribution as an artist, that's outside of like just expressing myself.
You haven't formed my fiction. You have engulfed my being. You are a constant state of everything I am. Gone are the days of heaven under a northern sky. Move like a spirit now and move through this life. I feel a constant state of everything you are. I feel the waves crashing down, directed by them stars, directed by them stars. I've been sold on you. I've been sold on you. I've been sold on you. You haven't formed my fiction. You have engulfed my being. You are a constant state of everything I am.